What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video we're going to be taking a look at another case, and while dual chamber cases are actually trending at the moment, we thought we'd take a look at some of the budget options that are available now. In the last video we did on a case, we took a look at the Sahara Gaming P480, that was a brand new release, and also a dual chamber case with a few differences. But today we're going to be taking a look at this. Now inside this box should be a Mars Gaming MCV3 dual chamber case, and we're hoping that it is exactly what it says on the box, but there's only one way to find out, so let's get into it. So this is the Mars Gaming MCV3 dual chamber case. It's not a brand that I've used before, although I've seen a lot of their cases out there, and I'm pretty sure they actually use a bit of an OEM, because you can actually find this style case and many of their others available from other brands. But before we start, I'm going to add a little note. This case was bought brand new, but apparently the one that came to us wasn't. It appears that it has been used, and it's not a good start for the case. It is missing a few things, including an accessory box, a panel from the back, apparently, I think, a dust filter from the bottom, and you can tell that some screws have been added. So I'm not sure what Mars Game are playing out there, because it did actually come from them through Amazon, brand new, but of course it's not brand new when it turned up. So we'll continue looking at the case anyway, but there's probably going to be a few features missed from the video. We'll sort out that problem later on. We'll probably get it shipped back to them and get a new one in, but for now, let's take a look. Now, as far as the case goes, it is an ATX case. It is classed as a tower, but it is a dual chamber, and it has glass panels at the front and also at the side here. It is more of a cube style shape than what I thought it was going to be. In particular, it's a lot shorter than originally what I thought it was going to be, and to be honest, I actually like that, because I think that it adds a bit more of a compact look and shape to it, and it's going to look pretty decent on your desk. The case is very basic in design, I will admit. It's extremely light. There's no weight in it at all, and to be honest, the most weight in it is actually in the glass panels, which is good to see, because if we just remove this glass panel, and to do that you've got to use these little thumb screws, again a very basic feature, and you're going to see that as a theme all the way through this. We can actually see that the glass panel is super thick. That's really good to see, because obviously you don't want a glass panel breaking. It is tempered glass, so it shouldn't break at all, and having the nice thick glass not only adds to the weight of the case, but it also means that you don't have to worry about it breaking or anything like that. It does have a black border as well to hide the frame of the case, so even though it is a basic case with basic types of fittings, they have thought of those little details. Along with the glass side, you've also got a glass front, and it fits just exactly the same. It has these 4 thumb screws in the corners, and there is no airflow in the front of this, but then I've not actually seen if you can actually replace the panel with an airflow one anyway, but according to the insides, there's no real way of adding in any fans anyway, so I don't think you need to worry about that. If you are looking to buy a case like this, you're probably trying to look for something of a bit of a copy to the Lion Lie, and that's exactly what you're going to get with this. The front panel is exactly the same as the side panel. It is super thick. It's about 4 to 5 millimeter thick, which is actually pretty good, and it also has this black bezel around the edge, nice thick one down the side, and the Mars Gaming logo very small in the front there. Again, another sign of an OEM case is when they just put this little print on the glass, because that means other manufacturers can just add their own print, but that's not too bad, and I like the front panel. Without the glass panels on, it is actually really light. You can just hold it and throw it around, which suggests that the metal is not the thickest, which is not always a problem, particularly if there's no twist in it, and this frame has no twist in it. It's nice and super strong, but it is usually a sign of the quality to come. Now, all of the steel in this apparently, or kind of appears to be nice and soft and rolled over, so there's no chance of cutting your arms or anything like that, or your hands when you're fitting things. But it is ram-packed full of a lot of features. If we'll just take a quick look at the top just to show you what's on there. On the top here we do have a dust guard. It's a dust filter, and again, just like I mentioned before, we can definitely tell this one's used because we've got marks in this. They're not the best when you actually mark them up. They're really hard to get rid of, and that's probably one of the bigger reasons why we'll be sending this back. But we've got this great big panel at the top for cooling that can fit 120mm fans, 240mm fans. Then we've got the I/O place here. In terms of I/O, we do have a power switch, reset switch, 2 USB 2s. There is no USB-C on this, so I'm not really sure if that's going to be suitable for most people, particularly now with modern boards and stuff, but you're probably buying this case, you've probably got a bit more of a budget system, so I probably won't worry about that. We have a separate headphone to microphone jack, so it's not a mixed one, which is good to see. And then we have this extra switch here, which I can only assume is for some kind of LED. And I say only assume because there is no manual with this because the accessory box was missing. If it isn't for LEDs, I'm sure you could actually hook it up to something else, but I'm not sure what you would want to do with that. But anyway, now inside the front of this case, there is plenty of space. It does fit an ATX motherboard as well as an M80X and an ITX. That's perfectly fine. We have a place for a 120mm fan in the back here. No space for a 140 or anything like that. It's just 120. We've got all the PCI slots here, and again, a true sign of an OEM cheap budget case is that they've actually got those little metal bendy out things. They're not actually screwed in, so that's a little bit annoying. I do believe that we've got a load of them spare, so I might peel them all out and replace them for nice little detachable ones. There is plenty of space in here for cooling, obviously, because we have space at the bottom here for 3 120mm fans. We have space at the top for 3 120mm fans or 2 140mm fans. Either place can also take radiators, so you can have up to a 360mm radiator if you're going to be putting water cooling in. And then obviously to take the dual chamber design, the same as many other cases out there, you have this big space in the back here where you can fit up to 3 120mm fans or 2 140mm fans. So that's where it's going to get its Lian Li look, is particularly if you're going to be buying this to kind of have a little bit of a copy there, but it's going to look pretty fine and you're going to get plenty of airflow through. The back panel on this is actually held in with thumb screws, which is good to see, and they are metal. They're not plastic ones, so they've kind of gone premium on the old thumb screws there, but not for the rest of the case. It does kind of give it a nice feel, I suppose, but they're not too bad. And then obviously looking at the back here, you also have your power supply here. Now that is where the dual chamber comes into this, because the power supply is going to be in the rear chamber, the motherboard and everything else is going to be in the front chamber. But we'll just take this rear panel off and we'll just take a look at it. So it just simply slides back. So the rear panel on this has 2 ventilation spots, and the reason for that is because if we turn it around, obviously in the front we've got our 120mm fans just running in here, and it's going to have plenty of space for air to flow straight the way through. That is one of the differences between this and something like the Sahara Gaming P480. The power supply is mounted at the back, which is a typical design of your dual chambers, which gives lots of space for air to flow in and out of fans that are mounted into the front here. All of the I/O cables are actually installed just above the fans, and you probably want to get them out of the way. You don't want them dangling down to detract from any airflow there, but they have provided you with lots of space in here. Obviously this is where your power supply is going to go, and there's just a sponge block at the back there. I'm not sure how great that's going to actually be, but it seems a pretty typical design for these kind of budget cases. And then we've got this panel in the back here where we can fit our SSDs and hard drives, which is removable. You can just simply remove the 4 screws from either side and take it out. Removing that panel will actually give us a great big space in there for cable management. So hopefully we can draw the cables in, tuck them all down the back there, somehow tag them all off, and it should look pretty good. When it comes to power supply cabling, obviously power supply cables can run through this slot here, and they will be coming out the back of your power supply here. They can also run through these inward slots inside the front of the case there. And then if we turn the case around, we can take a look to see what other cable management options we've got. Now when it comes to your motherboard, obviously we've got a few cable options here. We have big placements at the top, and that's for your EPS cable and any other fan cables. That's good to see. We have 2 large blocks at the bottom, which is going to be really good for cables that come up via USB headers and front I/O and things like that. So that's good to see. And then I also found that it's really good that they've included a little slot here in case you're using a micro ATX board, so you don't have cables running all the way up the motherboard. You can just pull them through there. I actually like that feature. I think more motherboard or case manufacturers should actually do that because it kind of gives it a little bit more adaptability. So that is a general overview of the case, and obviously we can't do much more than that due to the fact that we're missing quite a few bits. It does appear that you can install something else in the front here. I'm not 100% sure what that is. The screw holes at the bottom, we'll just turn it over so that you guys can see. There are screw holes at the bottom here which look like they would fit some kind of SATA drive, so maybe you can put an extra one there. That would be 2 in the back, 1 here. And then there's extra holes here, which I'm assuming is for something like a 3.5-inch hard drive. Again, I have to assume because I don't have a manual for it, so I'm not quite sure. It has fixed feet and they've got little rubber pads on, so that's nice to see. And it also has this placement here for lots of other types of screws. I'm not 100% sure what that is actually for. It kind of looks like, particularly where it is in the case, which is about here, that it could be for some kind of like GPU mount if you're vertically mounting in this, like one of those GPU anti-sag brackets. But again, everything was missing from the box, so we can't exactly be sure of that. So I suppose the only next thing that we need to do is actually put a build into this and see how well a budget case works. Okay, so what do we think? The case itself is actually really easy to build into. It's one of the easiest cases that I've found to build a PC into. There's plenty of space for cable management. Everything just goes in super easy. But is it actually worth the price? And the answer to that is no. This case will currently cost you about £105, which is, it's just not worth it. Considering the actual quality of the case itself, you can get things much better. Even the Sahara Gaming P480 is far more superior quality to this case. But if you are looking for something with that more common style look, with the 3 fans at the front instead of the 2 that the Sahara Gaming does, then obviously this case is an option for you. Maybe if it was £60, it would actually be worth it. I think it would definitely be worth £60. £50, probably a bargain. You should pick it up straight away. But anything higher than that, I'd probably consider something else. Is it a competitor to some of the higher Brandley and Lee kind of components? Not at all. It's just not there in the quality. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this a case that you would consider for your own build? Is it something that you would buy, or would you be looking for something a little bit more premium? Like I say, the build itself went perfectly fine. It's got plenty of space for everything, and there is plenty of airflow in this case. We've got 3 fans at the top, 3 fans at the bottom. We've got all the air drawing in through the bottom with no dust filter, obviously, because I think it was missing, or you don't get one. If you don't get one, it's an even more terrible deal, but if you do get one, it's not as bad, I suppose. We've got lots of air drawing in from the bottom, providing it to the graphics card, the CPU, air coming out the back, air coming out the top, and we have put those fans inside there, drawing air out. Now you can put those fans any way that you like, so there's quite a bit of flexibility there. In terms of support for 140mm fans, there isn't that much. You've got a couple at the top here that you can put in, and a couple in the back there, but the bottom doesn't support anything like that. So you are restricted to either 120mm or something like a 360mm radiator, that kind of thing. There's no 280s that you can fit in there, or 480s, or nothing like that. But that's the build, and this is our look at this case. I would be interested in getting some more Mars Gaming products on the channel. They are usually a budget price, and we know that you guys love to see some budget things. So I would like to do that, and I'm going to start hunting for some more, see what's out there, and see what else we can do. I'm not sure what we're going to do with this case yet. We'll probably keep it around for a bit, do some more builds in it, and obviously it gives us plenty of space for fans. We've got, what, 3, 6, 9... 10 fans sitting in this case at the moment, which is pretty cool. There is no space for fans at the front, by the way. It's just a glass panel. If that's the kind of thing that you like, then obviously you will like that. But anyway, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content and want to see more looks at cases just like this. But until the next time, we'll catch you in the next one.